Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the last part of our JavaScript crash course. In this video, we are going to cover window object, DOM, how we can select single and multiple HTML elements, DOM manipulation using JavaScript, events, form validation, and how to create dynamic user list. If you have missed the previous parts, then I recommend you to watch that first. You can just click on the card above and jump to the playlist directly. If you are new, then please check out my other crash courses. I will add the links in the description below. And also make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the upcoming videos like this one. So let's get started. Window object. So we'll see what is this window object and what is this DOM. All right, so I will just want to do a console log and I'm going to have a window. All right, and I'll see what actually I get. So I'll do this, or whether I do console log this, I'm going to get the same thing because the callee is still the window object. And I'll just comment this out and let's see what actually we have on this window object. So this window object has actually have a lot of methods in it, and you can use these methods. So let me show you one of the method, just to have. If I do window dot location, and I'm going to get what is the route of my page is and all the information related to the browser history. So now if I expand this, you can see that my host is this, the host port number and the page name. And also, if you want to have the access of the complete HTML document, then you can actually do the document here. So I'm going to do a document, and this is going to give me the complete HTML of my page. So you can see this is the complete HTML of my page. So this is the window object, and now let me show you how you can actually select the DOM elements, which is the document object model. And you can actually select the DOM elements. That means whatever the HTML element tags you have in your HTML document, you can access them in your JavaScript as well. Then you have some of the methods which only you can select single element in from using that. So single element, and the other one are the, if you want to have, if you want to access multiple elements. So let me have this multiple elements. So to do that, let me add an HTML structure on the page. So I'm going to add some HTML structure so that now we can play with the DOM, and then we select the DOM, and then let's manipulate the DOM. All right. So I already have some HTML code with me. Let me just copy paste. All right, so I added some HTML. I have simple form and I have given some CSS style. So you need to know a basic HTML and CSS. So if you are not familiar with it, check out my courses on HTML and CSS, and then you can jump back to this point. So now I have a simple form. So let me show you the form. I have a form with the username, enter an email, submit, a simple contact form. And now let's select something. So let me show you something first. So I have a section here. I have another section here. So now what I'm going to do is, if you want to select a single element, then you can do it by window dot document. We know that using window.document, we actually get the document of the page itself, but we can actually select the elements, a single element on it, document.get element by ID, and I need to specify an ID here. So let me see what is the ID. I have a contact ID. So if I want to select this, I'm going to add the contact. I can do console log of this. So log, save it. And then let's go to the inspect, and I see. So now you can see that I have a section. So you can remove this window as well. It is an optional because by default it will take window. So let me remove this. So you can select a particular element by ID. You can also use, let me use console.log, and this one which I use very frequently, which is the query selector, and let's select a section itself. Okay, so before saving, I just want to show you that on the HTML structure, we have two sections. But when I write section here, actually which section it is going to select? So by default, it will always select the first match. So whenever it will traverse the whole HTML element and document, and as soon as it finds this section, it's going to return that section, and it will not go on looking on the other sections. So these two are the methods on the document where you can have a single element selection, but if you want to select multiple elements, then you can do, let me add a console.log, and I can have document.get element by class name, and I can have the class name here. So let me add a class name of section. And if I add a class name of section, actually I don't have any class with the name section. So let me go to the HTML and add something. So I will just uncomment this. So now I have three LIs with the class item. So let me add that item, and let's see what happens. And now it can see that it is returning me an HTML collection. But the drawback of this is when you add the get element by class name, you returns the HTML collection, and you actually cannot apply array methods to this HTML collection. You first need to convert this HTML collection into array, and then only you can apply for loop and access in each item. You can also use, so let me add a tag name here. So the tag name is li. So the tag name will also return you an HTML collection. But there is one property called query selector all, and that query selector all actually returns a node list. So let me add a query selector all, and that query selector all actually returns a node list, and now you can actually apply a for loop on it. So let me actually show you how you can apply a for loop. So what I'm going to do is I will just copy this, okay, and I'm going to add a node list, okay, and then what I'm going to do is node list dot for each node, and I can actually console.log the individual node. So now you can see that I can have an individual element. So this way you can actually access your DOM elements, and you can do the loops. You can apply loops and manipulation on it. So this was the selection of the elements. Now let's see how you can actually manipulate DOM. So I will just remove this, and I will add manipulating DOM elements. All right, so now let's manipulate the DOM elements. So what I'm going to do, I will actually change the text of this item. And to change the text of this item, I first need to select this H3. This is an H3. So what I'm going to do, I will have a document dot query selector, and I'm going to have the class name tag underscore underscore list and an H3 inside the list, which will give me an access to this H3. Once I have the access to this H3, I can do H3 dot inner text, change the text to contact list, and this is going to change the text value from item to contact list. So you can actually change from the other methods as well. So apart from the inner text, you can actually change it with h3 dot text content, and using text content also you can change the contact one. And if I save it, it will change to contact list one. So this way you can actually manipulate the element or the text on the HTML document. Now let me change this list. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first get the reference of the UL, and I'm going to do document dot query selector, and this time I want to have dot contact list, and inside the list I need to have an access to UL. If you want to see the HTML structure, I'll just show you so this is the contact list, and inside the contact list, before we try to get an access to H3, but now I'm trying to get an access to UL. I have an access to UL, and on the UL I can do the first element child, and then I can change the text. I will change the text with inner text, and I'm going to change it to HTML. So that's going to change it to HTML. Similarly, if I want to access the last child, so I'm going to do a last child element, and I'm going to change it to JavaScript, and it will get JavaScript. And if you want to have an access to the middle li element, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have an ul dot children, and I'm going to have an access to the first index, and then I am going to add. So you can add inner text, you can add text content as well, and the third thing is you can add inner HTML as well. So let me add an HTML. What I'm going to do, I will have an h4. I'll close the h4, and here I'm going to write CSS. So now you can see that so the first one we used using the inner text, the last one we used using the text content, and the CSS we used the inner HTML. So you can also add an HTML to your DOM from JavaScript. All right, so you can also apply styles to it. So if I want to apply a style, then let me apply a style to the first element child. I can use dot style dot background, and I'm going to change the background to my favorite color, which is tomato, and that will change the color of the li. All right, so this way you can actually manipulate the DOM elements. And the next thing I want to show is let me remove this, are the events. All right, so you can actually have events in the JavaScript. So, and I will add a constant, and I will just select this submit button. First, let me change the submit button to the toggle, because I want to show you a toggle functionality, how actually you can toggle. So, or let me just copy another one. So I'll just take copy. Okay, so now I have a button, and I'm going to give a toggle here. Okay, so now this button is the toggle button, and what I want, that when I click on this button, I actually want this elements to get disappear then reappear. So I want to hide them. If they are hide, then I want to show them. If they show, then I want to hide them. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to have a btn, and that will be equal to, and I will do one thing, I'll just give an id of toggle so that I can select the element btn, and then I'm going to do document dot get element by id, and the id is toggle. All right, so now I have the button, and now if I want to add an event to it, then I can do button dot add event listener. So this event listener will add an event, and what event I want a click event. All right, and the next thing is, what actually going to happen when you actually click on the button. So the next is you need to have a function. I'm going to write an arrow function here, and that function is going to receive an argument which is e, or you can say the event. And let's first see what actually we get this in the event. Okay. All right. So now if I click on the button, I get an event, and let's see what you get on the events. So you have a lot of properties. You can actually get all the information of the element we are doing. So it is to the element a button, and button is having an ID of toggle. There are a lot of properties which actually you can use it. So what we are going to do is I need to have a reference to my UL. So I'm going to take a reference to my UL. So I will have a constant UL. I will have a document dot query selector. And from the query selector, I'm going to select the dot contact list and UL. So now I have an access to the UL. Now I will check the condition that if this UL dot style dot display is equal to block, then I actually want to hide this element. So what I'm going to do, apply display none to it, else apply block to it. So now if I click on it, you can see that now if I click, I get so now it's toggling. So this way you can actually, using events, you can actually create interactivity on your static websites. So you can do some events. When you click something, you can change something on the page. So you can also change the styles, you can change the content, you can change a lot of interactivity you can add to your page. All right, and the last thing I want to show you is I want to create a little bit, add your name, you can add your email ID, you can submit it, and when you submit it, I want to have the content to be displayed in the list here as a contacts. And also I need to have a little bit of validation to be applied. So let's quickly jump to that and let's do the form validation. And now I can remove this toggle button again because we don't want this toggle button now. All right, and I will just remove this as well. And we want to have this contact UL. And in the contact UL, what we are going to do, when you type a username and you type an email ID and you submit it, we are going to dynamically create the li items from the JavaScript. So let's take a reference of first. So I'm going to take a reference of form, and I'm going to have a document dot query selector, and I'm going to have a form. And now then let me have for the input, then for the email, and then for a message. So I'm going to change this to name. This I'm going to change to email. This has become a message, and this is going to become a name. This is become an email, and this is going to become a message. All right, so these are based on the classes and the IDs which I have here. So I'm going to change this to get element by ID, and this is also get element by ID. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a form, and I'm going to add an event. So I'm going to have an add event listener, and I will have an submit event. And when you have a submit event, I'm going to give a function name here. All right, now let me write this function. Right, function submit. On submit, you are going to get an event, and then you can alert. and let me have a clicked here. All right, so when I click here, you actually get alert, but you can see that the page actually gets refreshed. You won't be able to see it here, but let me add a console.log. Okay, and when I do the inspect, now, if I click, you can see that there is a click blinking, but actually the page is getting refreshed because we are using the form. And when you submit a form, the submission takes it to the another page. So if we don't want the refresh of the page on submit, we can actually prevent this default behavior. So how we can prevent this default behavior? I will add the event dot. There is a property called prevent default, and this prevent default will actually prevent the default behavior. So now what I'm going to do, let me check if the name dot value is equal to is empty, and email dot value equal to empty, then we need to have a error displayed, because if they are empty, we need to have an error to be displayed that you need to have a mandatory fields. So let me add all fields are mandatory. All right, and if they are not empty, then we can have alert as success. All right, so now let me check. If I click here, it asks me that all fields are mandatory, but what happens if I fill it? So I'm going to have the page, and I'm going to have a Malvia, and if I click it, so okay, so I need to have an email ID actually there, and if I submit it, it gives me a success. All right, so now I don't want this, and what I want that actually when the error happens, I need to add a text in this, and I need to display this paragraph tag. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to have the message dot style dot display, and that will be equals to, why this typo happens every time when I type style. Okay, and this should get block. Okay, and when it gets blocked, I need to add a message dot text content to it, and that will be equals to my this message. Okay, and then if it's else, what I need to do is I will create an li. So let me create an ul element that is equals to document dot get element by id contact underscore underscore ul. So now I have selected this ul. Now I need to create the dynamic li items, and I need to add the li items. So now let me create an li. So I will have an li, and I'm going to do a document dot create element. So now I have created an li element. The next thing is I need to append to this li, and what I'm going to append, I need to append a text node in it because I need to have some text in it, right? So I'm going to do document dot create text node, and inside the text node, what I want to display, I want to display the name name value, and I need to display the email ID. So I need to have an email dot value. All right, so now we can append this li item to our ul element. So now I have an ul element dot append this li. All right, so now after doing this, what I want that I want to clear my forms as well. So let me clear my form as well. So I'm going to have a name dot value equals to this empty, and I will have email dot value equals to empty. Okay, so we have done a lot of things here. So now let's try something. If I write the page and if I write malvia@gmail.com, and if I click on search, I actually get this. All right, so now let's see what happens when actually we click on submit. So when we click on submit, it actually says all fields are mandatory. And if we fill the form back and if we submit, we get it. But we also want that this should get removed. So what we can do for that is we can add an on click event here. So let me add an on click, and when you click it, you need to have a remove message method here, and the same I can add on the email as well, and then we will just write the definition of this method. So when you do this, what you want is you want that this message should be display none back. So let me add none. Okay, so I need to add a function here, remove message, and now if I click here, I actually sees the error, and when I click here, the error actually is hidden. So I can do again, I can do click, I can add Nikesh, and I can add nick@gmail.com. Can click, it can more be added. I can add test, and I can do test@gmail.com. Added, but when I refresh it, it will clear out because we are not storing the information anywhere, and it's just on the browser, so disappear when actually we refreshed because we are not storing the state anywhere. So I hope we have covered a lot of things in this video about JavaScript. If you are beginner, then this is absolutely fine. You have learned a lot of concepts, fundamentals, syntaxes of JavaScript and ES6 as well. So I hope you like the video, and a thumbs up is appreciated. You can put in the comments if you want to have some deep dive into some concepts. Let me know on the comments. I can create a video on it, and I can try to explain you more better. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you need anything, or if you want me to make a video on some concepts with the deep dive. I'll do that as well. And you can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. I will add the links in the description below, and please make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you get notifications when I create these awesome videos. Thank you. Thanks for watching.